Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff for Jurgen Klopp's men today. Just the third of the campaign, would you believe? A traditional start time for a traditional fixture this afternoon. Nottingham Forest, of course, once upon a time competing for top honours themselves. Now they find themselves in the thick of a relegation battle as they look to try and secure Premier League status for a third straight season. Injury hit Liverpool, buoyed by Carabao Cup success and FA Cup progress too this week, are hoping to continue their momentum and keep setting the pace in the title race. Live audio commentary of all the action from the City Ground is on its way for you from 3 o'clock. And two men who know all about winning trophies with Liverpool are, of course, Sammy Lee and Gary Gillespie. We are going to get their thoughts very shortly on today's game. First, though, with Academy graduates being the theme of the week so far, we thought it only right to hear from another one this afternoon. David Thompson is over in the East Midlands for us, and he is pitchside with Rob Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. From the East Midlands, two former European champions going head-to-head this afternoon, two with very different ambitions between now and the end of the season. Liverpool looking to add to that one trophy picked up at Wembley last weekend. Nottingham Forest just looking to keep their heads above water on the banks of the Trent. Alongside me this afternoon, the former Liverpool midfielder David Thompson. And given the glory at Wembley and given the youngsters that were involved and played their part, Liverpool arrive here in great fettle.
Oh, the club's absolutely buzzing. It does take a lot of pressure off when you won a trophy midweek. So, yeah, I think the boys will be really looking forward to getting out there today. I think it's going to be a huge game. It's a huge game for both sides. You know, obviously Forest are really scrapping for their lives down there. They've got a new manager coming in. You know, it's a transitional period for them, but they're trying to look for some confidence. We're a very confident side at the minute. I'm won the cup midweek. You know, it's if we can get our lads back fit today, I'd be ultra confident if we had our lads back fit today. But we'll wait and see in 15 minutes, won't we?
The one thing that you would say when people are starting to draw some parallels from a couple of seasons ago, where Liverpool were going for the quadruple right down to the final day of the Premier League season, is that even though we're in the first weekend of March, it feels like there's no room for error.
Well, there is no room for error at the moment, especially with the likes of City and Arsenal. You know, they're in such good form, really. It's an ultra-competitive league. You don't get any easy games. I think there's 12 games left. Every one of them's going to be a cup final. I think we will see a few twists and turns along the way. You know, even if we drop points here today, I think that game on next Sunday against Manchester City is still a huge, huge game.
Does it matter, as we get to this stage of the season, when you play, as in Liverpool go first, City tomorrow, and then Arsenal on Monday night?
It's an interesting one. We were speaking about it before. I'm not really sure, actually. I think from a personal point of view, I'd like to go first, get the points on the board, and then put the pressure on the boys so we can focus on, you know, the next game, the next task in hand. I don't think that's till next Thursday, so the lads will get a good rest, and then you can sit back and watch the results unfold over the weekend, and hopefully they fall in your favour. Hopefully
some drop points. You mentioned it there, though, that Liverpool's next game is Manchester City at Anfield in the Premier League next Sunday, that this feels more important not to drop points the week before that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, nobody wants to drop points, but this is a really difficult game today. You know, nobody comes to the City Ground and absolutely pummels Forest. I know they're out of form at the minute. They're struggling for confidence. They're under a cloud. You know, they don't know if they're going to be deducted another 6 points or 10 points, whatever it's going to be. So, you know, they're in a bit of an unknown period. So they'll be fighting for their lives down there. So we just need to, you know, focus on this game in hand and you know, try and just do the best we can. You know, it is going to be a really difficult game. You won't get any easy games against any Premier League opposition. So, you know, we've just got to focus on today and try and get 3 points on the board. Sit back and look at over the weekend and see how City and Arsenal get on.
Just a final one for the moment then. Does Forest predicament, which you just mentioned, make them more dangerous at this stage of the season? If you play a team down there in October, they think, well, it's Liverpool, we can maybe write that one off. You are starting to run out of next week's now if you're Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I think so, but, you know, their fans will be right up for it today. If ever going to kickstart your season, it's against the top side. Forest don't struggle against the top sides. Actually, they're really competitive. You know, I think if you look against Man United Wednesday night, you know, it was a late goal. They were very competitive.
Them here in the league, beat United, beat Villa, beat West Ham. So
absolutely, and so, you know, Nuno's, he's changed things around a little bit. He's changed the shape. He's changed the emphasis. He's gone from a low block to more of a mid block with a little bit of attacking football. So it's given the lads a little bit of confidence. They create lots of chances during the game. So it really is going to be a difficult game. I think if you look at the Liverpool games, last 3 or 4 games, we've given a lot of chances away. If they take their chances today, they do score first. You know, it puts a lot of pressure on us.
All right, David, thank you very much indeed for the moment. David mentioned there, team news, we will bring it to you in a couple of minutes' time.
We certainly will. Thanks, both. The lads anticipating a difficult game there, Gary. What are your thoughts on today? It's another big one. It feels like every game at the moment is a big one. Yeah,
I think when you go up against the likes of Manchester City, who seem to have hit real good form in the league, and Arsenal, who really, since the turn of the year, have been playing exceptional, I think it is always the case that you want to do as well as you possibly can. But listen, you play for Liverpool. Every game's a cup final against a team like Liverpool. I think historically it's a difficult place to go when you look at our record here in the Premier League. It's not been fantastic. 3 wins and 3 draws and 3 losses out of 6 appearances here. So that shows you how much of a task it is ahead of today's game. And plus the fact that they're obviously fighting for their lives as well makes it even more difficult. And I think we say it on a regular basis, there's no easy games really in the Premier League unless you make it easy. And Liverpool, on the travels this season, have made a number of games where we think going into it a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous, but they've come out on top and they've made it look easy because of the performance. Hopefully that's another one like this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a while since we've done a Premier League game, doesn't it, with all the cup competitions. Let's just remind you how the top of the Premier League table looks at the moment. And my goodness, it is tight. Obviously, the top 3 all played the same number of matches, just 2 points between them. 12 games to go, Sammy. That means 36 points. I think if my maths is right to play for. I mean, you can give us an insight into the psychology of players at this stage of the season. What will they be thinking heading into the run-in now? Well, I think, without using the old cliche, it's just about the next game up. You know, it really is. And there are certain departments within the club who will have to look further ahead, the sports scientists and what have you. You know, they'll have to look at minutes played and game load. But I think as a player and as a coach, you have to look at the next game in hand. And I think, as Tom alluded to before, this is a massive game for Liverpool Football Club. There's a third of the season left, you know, 12 games, 36 points, as you so rightly said, and done the math. But I just tend to think this is the most important because it's the next game. Again, I repeat, certain elements of the football club have to look at the bigger picture, but I know full well the players and the immediate staff will be looking at this game in hand today because, again, it is going to be a difficult game. It's a hostile place to go to. We haven't done very well there. But for me, I always like to turn them stats around, and none better time than today. Yeah, you do see these stats, but I suppose that obviously the vast majority of these players, aside from last season, of course, when it didn't go too well, have not been involved in virtually any of those games. So it won't be entering their mindset that Liverpool don't have a great record at the City Ground. No, I think you've got to put it in focus as well. Last season wasn't a fantastic performance. We were going through that really sticky spell at the time as well, where we were struggling in confidence, which you can't really quite believe that, like going on a year ahead, like we're absolutely, the momentum is like so much with us. Just won the Carabao Cup, got through the next round to the FA Cup. So the momentum is definitely with us, and the confidence within the squad is far greater. But it still it doesn't make it any easier of a place to go. I think it's still a difficult game for us. Yeah, and we mentioned back yesterday, didn't we, in the preview show, is that if you have a look at the game last season, the personnel as well, you know, the change in personnel is huge. You know, within this revamp that Jurgen's set in place, ahead of schedule it is, you know, so it's going to be a totally different game, but a very difficult game nonetheless. I think when you look at it, I mean, I was doing like the stats, and like we had 73% of possession at Anfield when we beat them 3-0. We had 75% possession last season, and we got beat 1-0. So that just shows you the nuances of of football, and it's not all about possession. It's about obviously scoring goals. And Forest, in fairness, under Nuno, have actually been able to score goals. I think in the 9 appearances, out of 7 games they've played, they've scored 1 or 2 goals. Two goals.
Yeah.
So that's like it's a decent return. But what they have been, they've been a little bit vulnerable at the back.
OK, well, let's head back to the City ground because, of course, it has been a Liverpool side beset really by injury issues in recent weeks. Has that lifted a little in time for today's game? Let's get the team news with Rob Jones.
Thanks very much. Well, the kids got the job done in the FA Cup against Southampton on Wednesday night, but Liverpool a bit of seniority back into the team and also back onto the bench for Jurgen Klopp this afternoon. It's 4 changes to the 11 that started against Southampton. In come Konate, Robertson, McAllister and Diaz in place of Kwanzaa, Tsimikas, McConnell and Kumas, with Endo, Szoboszlai and Darwin Núñez all back on the Liverpool bench this afternoon. So let's take you through the 11 in full. Kelleher will keep goal, looking to keep 3 clean sheets for the first time this season for Liverpool. We think it might well be the back 4 with Conor Bradley at right back, Virgil van Dijk, who's got 2 goals in his last 3 games. He missed a whole host of chances in this match at the City ground last year, partnered by Konate, with Andy Robertson at left back. Maybe Joe Gomez to continue in that midfield position that he occupied against Southampton, with Alexis McAllister, and a first Premier League start for Bobby Clark this afternoon. And then a front 3 of Harvey Elliott, who must be blowing. He's played a lot of football in the last week or so. Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz, who's got 5 goal involvements in his last 5 games. That's 1 more than he managed in his previous 25 Premier League matches. The substitutes this afternoon for Liverpool: Adrian, Endo, Szoboszlai, Núñez, Tsimikas, McConnell, the goal-scoring youngsters of midweek, Kumas and Dans, and Jarell Kwanzaa as well. But David Thompson still alongside me. As I said, a lot more seniority and experience back into that Liverpool team today.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a really steady team there. Obviously lovely to see that Núñez, Endo and Szoboszlai back on the bench there if needed. But the young lads can go out and do a job again. It's going to be a really difficult game and a really interesting game. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk about that midfield area then that you know well. Who'd have thought that Joe Gomez could be a central midfielder?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I think if you'd have asked Joe if he wanted to play there again, I think he'd have said no. He'd prefer to play centre-back or around the full-back area. But he did a good job the other night. He was steady. He reads the game well. I think when he tries to over-elaborate with the ball, he probably gets caught a little bit, and that's going to be important today, that he just shifts the ball, gives it to the players around him, and you know, does that defensive job, that block right in front of Konate. It's going to be really important today.
And I think we saw as well in a cup final, we've seen it a couple of times recently as well, that with a defensive-minded player, it allows Alexis McAllister a lot more licence going forwards.
Oh, absolutely. I think, McAllister, he can play the 6, he can play the 8, he can play the 10, but he's a much better player when he's between the 8 and the 10. Very powerful player, very strong player, reads the game really well. So, yeah, just Joe in there, just anchoring, and will allow McAllister to go and play and allow Clark to go and play, because, you know, Bobby Clark, he's earned the right. He's earned his Premier League debut today. He's earned that trust from the manager.
And I was going to say, actually, we say it's a huge day for Bobby Clark, and of course it is, because it's a first Premier League start, but it doesn't seem, I guess, as daunting when you've come on at 0-0 in a cup final at Wembley and helped your team lift the trophy.
Listen, the week they've had, this is going to be a stroll in the park for them today. I'm really looking forward to it. Bobby, I was really impressed with Bobby the other night against Southampton. I thought he uses the ball really well. He's very clever. He's dangerous. You know, he's definitely earned his right to a debut today.
And look, I know they've had the week of their absolute dreams. Will there be any tinge of disappointment for Jayden Dans in particular that he's not starting today, or is that just a little bit too much to ask?
Oh, I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but do you know what? He's had an unbelievable week. I'm sure he's still on cloud 9. He'd be ready to come on and do a job, and he might even get the opportunity today. You know, with obviously we've got Núñez on there as well, so everyone's going to be needed today. It's going to be a really tricky game. I feel like it's going to be a tight, and you know what? I'd take a scrappy 1-0.
We would all take a scrappy 1-0. Just saw that in the FA Cup a couple of years ago on this ground, actually. 4 changes for Nottingham Forest this afternoon. Matt Sells comes in goal. Andrew Omobamidele comes in defence. Nicholas Dominguez in midfield, and Callum Hudson-Odoi in attack. Divock Origi starts against his former club. Full details of the Forest team shortly.
Yeah, we will be back there with those Forest team details very soon. But let's just refresh ourselves of that Liverpool starting 11. Lads, there are a few A few bits to pick out here. Obviously, we'll speak about Bobby Clark in just a moment, and Joe Gomez, we think, maybe continuing in that sixth role. But a welcome sight to see Darwin Núñez and Dominic Szoboszlai, Sammy, on the bench. You would imagine Darwin Núñez looked in quite good shape at the Caravan Cup final.
He certainly did in that celebration.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? So you would imagine we'll probably see them at some point, but a lift just to have them back in the squad.
Very much so, Becky, and I think as David Tomo said, the mere fact that they're there, we can be used, because I think we're going to use them all anyway, you know, because the game load that they've all had dictates that they'll want to get minutes, they'll come on. At what point, I'm not too sure, but it's great to see them on the bench. And if you're the opposition and you're looking at our bench, and we're a stronger bench again today, then you're thinking, well, okay, at any given time, these could be introduced into the game, so you're constantly looking over your shoulder, and it's great for Jürgen to have to be able to call upon them when it's required.
Yeah, and he was in such good form as well, Gary, before he obviously went out injured. So 5 goals in his last 6 starts, I think, before the injury.
Yes,
so he'll want to continue that momentum, of course.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, depending on how the game goes, I would probably err on the side of the fact that he won't come on. I think he'd put Dan's on before I think he'd put Núñez on, just purely and simply because the big game that's coming up next week. Unless, I mean, he is 100% fit, which who knows. No, I think the bench is strong when you think of the personnel we've got. It's a lot stronger than maybe what we've seen in the last couple of games. But personally, I think Szoboszlai, Darwin Núñez, depending on Endo as well, regarding his fitness, I would think that the manager would prefer not to be putting them on.
OK, we shall see how it goes. Someone who's definitely chomping at the bit is Bobby Clark. 2 previous starts before this, but this is his first Premier League start, Sammy, and what a day for him. And I think the lad said in the tape there, you know, he's more than earned his right to be out there today.
Without a shadow of a doubt, Becky, he really has, you know, and it'd be different because he's come on, he's had an impact whenever he's come on, but he's actually starting today. And again, as Tomo said, he's earned that. He's earned the right to start today, and I'm chuffed for the boy. Really, I'm very, very pleased for the guy. I think every minute I've seen him play, he's improved, he's got better, he's got stronger, and that's all you can ask of any of these guys coming on.
Yeah, he's got an awareness and a maturity, Gary, beyond his very young years, Bobby Clark. What impresses you about him, Sam?
Well, I think he's comfortable in possession of the football. He'll take balls in tight areas of the pitch and be comfortable with it. I think when you look at all the academy lads that have played in recent weeks, they're all very much of the same sort of kilter, aren't they? They're all confident. They're all got great technical ability, and now they're learning how to play properly football at a proper level, or a senior level where it becomes a little bit more difficult. But what we've seen so far is they've made that step up and they've been able to handle it. And you can throw James McConnell into that as well.
Yeah.
You know, Jaden Dans as well, young Kumas as well. I thought Kumas was maybe just, when you look at him, he's just that a little bit young. He's maybe not quite there yet. But all these youngsters we see in the last couple of games, they've all proved the point that they're more than capable of playing at this sort of level.
And that's all credit to the academy.
And that is,
It really is, you know, the people at the academy, you know, we know Barry Lewis, but Alex, who's organised all this, who's at the head of it all, I think it's, you know, you don't just come in straight away and be like that. I have to say to you, there's organisation, there's a discipline, there's a team shape to what you do. And again, also all credit to Jürgen, the fact that he's been forced upon, these changes have been forced upon him, but he hasn't been reluctant to put them in, and even to start them as he is today. So again, all credit to everybody, both at the academy and at the first team level.
Well, let's look at the opposite end of the scale, someone who's got lots of minutes under his belt in lots of different positions as well. Joe Gomez, we imagine, probably will play that 6th role once again, which was a little bit of a curveball against Southampton, but he played it so well.
He did, Beck, and I think we mentioned yesterday again, one of the reasons why I'm sat in at the action is because I haven't got a clue, you know, because I think I may have started him at right back, pushed Connell forward and put McConnell in his natural position against Southampton. He didn't, he put Joe in there, and once again, Joe performed admirably. Wherever he's played, he's come in, he's done a fantastic job. I think Pep really gave him some fantastic praise prior to the Carabao Cup game, because wherever he's played, he's been fantastic. He's been dependable, you know. And he went at left back and he done fantastic there. You know, he really did. And I think all credit to the guys that he's adapted to whichever position they've placed him in.
Yeah, you said there, he is Mr. Dependable, but he's more than that, Gary, in terms of, you know, he doesn't just go there and do a job. He does the job excellently wherever he is asked to play.
As regards to him as a central midfield player, I don't think it comes naturally to him. I think he finds it a little bit more difficult to play that role as opposed to like playing either left back or right back. I think what you have to say, when he stood in at like full back, he's been absolutely sensational. Consistency, which probably was the one criticism that would be levelled at Joe about his consistent performances, that maybe just let him down a little bit, but certainly this season so far he really has been one of the most consistent players we've seen. And again, he has that position in the middle of the park, which I think he'll get used to, but I think he'll feel a lot more comfortable and a little bit safer as well that he's got McAllister in there alongside him.
And I think the good thing about it, Beck, is that the coaching staff have faith in him, whichever position you put him in, which for a player is a fantastic thing to have, the fact that your coaching staff have total faith in you, whichever position they put you in.
OK, much more to come from Sammy and Gary shortly. That is almost it from us for part one of today's Matchday Live. Time to say goodbye to those of you watching on social media platforms. To stay with us, though, you can find details of how to subscribe to LFC TV and LFC TV Go online right now. It's at liverpoolfc.com/watch. So the build-up continues after this break, when we will be bringing you the thoughts of both bosses as well as an exclusive chat to LFC TV with Cody Gakpo. And John Aldridge will be alongside Steve Hunter to bring you live audio commentary of every single kick from 3 o'clock before the matchday reaction begins at 5. And you can catch free highlights of today's game on LFC TV Go at 5:15. The full 90 minutes will be available to watch to Go subscribers from midnight tonight. And do look out as well, actually, for the latest episode of Inside 2. That will land on YouTube and Facebook on Monday. So it is a big one at both ends of the table this afternoon. Liverpool are looking to keep their winning momentum going and do the double as well over Nottingham Forest. We are back in a couple of minutes' time.
It's about where your dad went, it's about where your grandfather went. It's about a build-up over the years of stories, of sound.